and the different sense objects. Pleasant sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and tangible objects. So then when you perceive an object, you may initially label it as nice, or pleasant, in relation to the way it makes you feel. So it's merely labeled as pleasant in relation to the emotional response of our mind to the object. Which accounts for the fact that not everyone perceives that object as pleasant. Since they don't have the same emotional response to it. Because of our basic misapprehension, it now seems that the pleasantness is integral to the object. It's intrinsic in the object. And not dependent on my emotional response to it. exaggerates the pleasant qualities. Obscuring any negative qualities the object may possess. So this exaggerated view, which exaggerates the positive aspects, gives rise to an exaggerated emotion. Such as craving, attachment, states of mind which then give rise to worry and anxiety. Worry that we are unable to get the object of craving. And worry we may lose it once we've obtained it. Attachment and craving also give rise to exaggerated verbal and physical actions. Which, depending on the strength of our craving and attachment, cause others to suffer. Which, due to the interrelatedness of all phenomena, the suffering we give to others through harming them eventually comes back to us. So this shows how our misapprehension of the I and other phenomena is responsible for our problems, for our unwanted suffering. And so now, whatever conclusion you have come to, whatever insight you have reached, spend a few moments single-pointedly focusing on that insight, on that experience, and allow for it to sink deeper. About 30 minutes left, so I'd like to take some questions, but also then in the break time, we have half an hour break. If you'd like to come forward, I'll just sit here. So if you want to come forward and ask questions for half an hour, there's time, one after the other. And of course, there's again the opportunity after the next session, that's tomorrow. But now we have about 30 minutes left. Is there any questions? Yes.
I know similar teachings, which instead of saying Buddha nature, it's pure awareness. And in fact, I know, like, when you are in Geshe, even use the same terms
Mhm.
for Buddha nature.
Okay.
And so I heard that there's a notion that in deep sleep, or is no dreams, we think we're unconscious, that the personality is unconscious. In fact, it's we're going back in a way to the state of pure awareness. This is why the personality is in a way unconscious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to know if in Buddhism is there something similar regarding deep sleep.
You want to know whether there's something in Buddhism similar? You described Buddhism. So her question is, Mingyur Rinpoche, who's an amazing Lama from the Nyingma tradition, Nyingma Kagyu, I guess, tradition, he talks about pure awareness, and sometimes another word is used, Buddha nature, and she's had that during deep sleep when our usual personality, like the coarse kind of personality we have, is not present. We actually get in touch with that pure awareness. So whether in Buddhism there's something like that, that's all Buddhist. Everything you said is Buddhist. Yeah, that.
I just
Please?
explain. I'm sorry,
Yes,
maybe
sure.
I didn't explain right.
Okay.
The fact about being in touch with our pure awareness during this deep sleep, this is something that I learned not from doing you are, but from another. And then I said, well, it's very similar, so I wanted to ask if is that the case?
All right. I don't know about the other tradition. She's saying that she heard this idea about the pure awareness in a different tradition, and whether that's the same. Well, I don't think it's something. It's something, from a Buddhist point of view, it's true for everyone. So if someone else recognizes it, it's not a big deal, because that's just our mind. So it's not like when you become a Buddhist, then you have pure awareness, but before you didn't. No, like you may have already kind of gathered from what I said, that you don't have to even be a Buddhist. You can just apply the techniques, and so if they're helpful, that's good. And the explanation that is given with regard to pure awareness, that's just true for everyone. That's just, we haven't recognized it yet. And that is sometimes described as Buddha nature, it's sometimes described as pure awareness. But the words can be so misleading. I mean, words are just words after all. So it's important what's underneath it. So what is explained is that we have this pure mind already now. We have a mind that can be aware of anything. It can know anything. We have a mind that can be extremely loving and compassionate, that has that nature already. So in other words, it has all the good qualities that we want to attain at one point, which give us so much happiness and give others so much happiness. We have everything already here. Already there. It's all here. Nothing missing. And just in a previous course I talked about it, so but some of you weren't there, so I mention it again. That we describe as Buddha nature. Why? Because it's saying a Buddha is someone, not some being who looks Indian and sits always cross-legged and you have him on the tankas. Yeah. With like a kind of golden body and some funny hair dress, hair thing up here. Like, that's not what Buddha means. Buddha just means awakened. So awakened means we're right now asleep. We're like in the sleep of misapprehension. And a Buddha is just someone who's removed all that misapprehension, and now the fullest awareness, what we possess, has now been actualized, has now become active. In our case, it's just not active yet. That's it. So Buddha nature means we have everything to reach that awakened state already. And so one of my teachers, he uses the example of a menu. Okay, so he says, like, when you go to a restaurant and they say they have shakshuka, it doesn't mean the shakshuka is already made, right? I mean, you wouldn't eat there. If it's been like sitting on the stove since morning, I don't think you would eat shakshuka there. So you want it freshly prepared. But when they say we have shakshuka, they're not lying. They're just saying we have everything to make shakshuka. All the ingredients are there, we just have to make them. So Buddha nature means the same thing. We have everything already there. It's complete. We have this incredible mind that is just veiled, that is obscured, that is obstructed by our misperception. So really, spiritual practice is about removing what's extra, removing this misapprehension. And when we do, the mind can fully unfold. It can fully unfold like all the good qualities that we already possess. Right now, our mind is like we're restricting ourselves. We have this kind of narrow-minded, short-sighted kind of attitude because of just focusing on the eye. So it's just about expanding the mind. And that is described as Buddha nature or pure awareness. It's just saying we have everything right here. It's like muddy water. The water is there. You just need to remove the mud. It's mixed with the water right now. But you can remove the mud and still be left with H2O. So those are different examples that are given. And therefore, that's what's so positive about it. We have everything here. And it's about being rejoicing and being joyful, like, wow, we have this amazing mind. Just right now we don't really know how to use it and to really create happiness for ourselves and others.
So going back to this deep
sleep. The deep sleep, okay. Alright, okay, so yes. So what you ask about deep sleep, well, actually sometimes the mind, the mind that is the actual essence, the mind that will eventually transform into the mind of a Buddha, it actually sometimes manifests. It manifests sometimes during deep sleep, just briefly, but as you all remember, you don't remember. As you're all aware, you're not aware. And the best time for that mind to arise is when you die. Great time. Clear light mind of death, it's called. Sound familiar when people talk about near-death experience and they see a clear light? That is the type of mind. And it arises briefly, and people who come back from death, who have had a near-death experience, sometimes when the near-death experience was powerful enough, they come back to say, wow, that was such a peaceful state. That was so amazing. They want to go back to that. They are like really inspired. But unfortunately, from a Buddhist point of view, because of our craving for existence, even when we die, we will experience that mind for a short moment, or even during sleep, we'll experience it for a short moment, but because of everything we haven't removed yet, we will go back to the coarse mind. We will go back and then go into it again and come back again. But most of our life will be determined by this coarse mind that is affected by the misperception. So even when we die, from a Buddhist point of view, our mind cannot be destroyed. It cannot be destroyed. So we'll be reborn again. But because our coarse mind wants to just continue with our sights and sound, and we're still attached, and we still want to continue like this, we'll continue like that. As long as our mind lets go of it, this attachment of like sights, sounds, etc., once we let go of it, we experience them fully, not the way we do right now. So for that long, there'll be only short periods. When we sleep, very subtle mind, but we have to get out of it. When we die, very short periods, but we have to come out of it.
So can we say that it's all one mind, but we are experiencing different states of mind, that we are aware of different states of mind?
We can say that your mind is your continuum of mind. It's like a river. Sometimes the water is muddy, sometimes it's clean, but then it gets muddy again. Is it all the same water? No, it keeps churning and changing, but it's the same continuum. Yeah, it's the same continuum. And right now, we are aware while we're awake. We cannot really, that type of awareness, attentiveness we have when we're awake, we cannot bring into the deep sleep, and we cannot bring at death, which is why we don't remember later on. There's no remembrance of it. Every night we die a small death. It's very similar to the death process, but we don't remember. We only remember some of the dreams, but the deep sleep we don't remember, because we cannot yet access that type of mind, because our attentiveness is with the coarse mistaken mind. But it shows us it's right there because sometimes we can access it, okay, but not keep it. All right. One more question. Yes.
Does the misapprehension of self
Yeah.
imply that there is a certain way rather than another to apprehend oneself, or is the misapprehension just being caught to the word certain in reference to the self?
I don't understand the second part of the question.
I mean, when you try to think of even a certain way that you should be,
Yeah.
this is the misapprehension, or is the thing that you should, or is the certain way the cure of misapprehension?
So let me repeat the question to make sure I understand. Are you saying that either there's a wrong way, there's a misapprehension of reality, but there's a correct way to looking at it? Or is it like whatever apprehension you have, it's incorrect?
No, or the second part is the misapprehension even thinking in these categories about the self?
Can you explain again? I'm not sure. Does anyone else understand?
I think he meant that even categorizing the misapprehensive of that process is misapprehensive.
When you say that you have to be a certain way?
Yes. So you're basically saying that if we're trying to correct the way we are right now, are we always misapprehending it until we don't? Are you saying like, even though when we start to try and understand how the mind really works, do we bring in that misapprehension naturally and we need to kind of move away from it? Is that what you're asking?
I don't think so.
No, you don't think so? Okay. No, then I still don't get your question.
You can answer this one.
I can answer that one. Okay, I'll answer that one and you can always come forward or ask again later, yeah. So, alright, that's actually an important question. Like, right now, our mind is totally immersed in the misapprehension. So, the question that oftentimes people ask me is like, how can a mind that totally misperceives things and has no sense of reality, how can that mind get out of it? So the example I usually use is like, how can a stiff body become flexible? You train with a stiff body, you train with a limited body, and still that limited body has the potential to become flexible, which is why you can transform a stiff body into a flexible body. Likewise, our mind has the capacity to actually know reality. So initially, all our perceptions are wrong. But as we continue doing this same mind, which is mistaken, can slowly free itself from that misperception and understand how phenomena really exist. So instead of that extreme sense, extremely, this is I over here and you're over there, I understand it's just labeled, my mind just labels I in relation to what is closest to it. But actually you're I from your perspective, so you're also I and your happiness is just as important as mine. So from that understanding, your actions will then adjust and there's no longer any selfishness. But it takes time to move away from that extreme perception. Does that make sense? And I didn't answer your question. No, but I'll try again. But now it's 2:30, so let's take half an hour break. Please, rest a little bit. If you have a question, please come forward, and I'll be here the whole time. Yes, of course you can.